Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, another game, another you, another me. In the right-hand corner of the map, playing as the enemy. No, I'm just kidding. He's playing as Kronos. He's the enemy because Kronos is the enemy. For no reason other than the developers who created the Atlantis story decided that Kronos would be the enemy. So we got Keto, Severo Jones Bones, piloting the enemy here. Our opponent today, no, our hero today, the hero that we do not deserve, but the hero that we have. His name is Vindicare. He is our resident Susanoo main. He's been climbing the ranks. He's been dominating the players. He's been trying to play Susanoo in his own style and having successes after successes after successes. He's been showing it to the top level player base, telling him how it is and that they're all big poopy heads. I speak directly from him. No, I don't know. I'm just making it up. I don't know what's happening here. We're on the map Oasis. It's Susanoo versus Kronos. Pretty interesting matchup here. There are some pretty scary ways that Kronos can play this. Often you've got a simple way for Kronos. I should do a little flipsy up here. A very, very simple way for Kronos to play this is to advance at about 3:30 or a little bit before 3:30. Not the Kronos rush, but just a normal advance time. And then you just rush up your second town center and then you play from there. It can be a really, really nice way to play. Your opponent might go for a big fat all-in against you, and then you have to be creative on how you're going to defend it, but it is possible to play around those sorts of things. But it can be very, very strong. Now, Vindicare, from what I've seen so far, his style is very unique with Susanoo. Everyone and their mum loves to play for Inari Okami. That's what they love. They love that god as Susanoo. But Vindicare says, no. There are too many weaknesses inside of Susanoo for me to have to deal with. I'm going to play Minakata Tomi. It's going to give me a nice defensible sort of god power so that I don't just get broken straight away. And we're going to go from there. It makes a lot of sense the more you think about it. The reason it makes sense and what makes sense about it is the fact that you get yourself a siege weapon in the classical age. And what does that actually mean, having a siege weapon in the classical age? Well, the siege weapon in question is the one Udor, right? The flaming wheel. What does this mean? It means your opponent now has to respect the fact you're building units. Now, you don't get the Swampland, but if my opponent goes Inari Okami, all of a sudden, I don't have to respect his army because he's not going to be able to kill my buildings, my walls, and he's not going to be able to break into my base and do anything. So I can just play for the fast heroic and not really worry all too much, right? That's the thought process here. That's why this makes sense. On top of that, obviously the early game for Susanoo is absolutely rubbish, and the wolves are going to be able to protect you and keep you going nice and early. We are going to be seeing Vindicare going for a guardhouse, and I assume a stable here. This makes some sense. You don't really need the samurai right away. Maybe samurai a little bit later. I don't even know if you need the guardhouse in right away, but the Bushi could be a nice little assistance. On the other side here, we are going to be seeing Keto going for Prometheus. And Prometheus is obviously going to be boosting up Keto's economy, and it looks like, to me, he is doing some mana readjusting. Not exactly sure why, apart from just trying to make his oracles. Oh, he's going for mass oracles. Okay. This is the soup start to some degree. Did he get a hero oracle as well? He absolutely did get a hero oracle. I literally saw it there. And he's picking up relics. Which ones has he grabbed? He's already got himself the tail feathers of heaven, and he's grabbing himself the bow of Artemis. I like this build. I think it's solid. It gives you the option to both go Promethean and get out Valors, which is very, very strong, and allows you to play a kind of one town center game that is a little stronger than it otherwise would be. Like if you're going to play one town center ideas with Atlantean, you probably want to be opening, unless you're playing Oceanus, of course, it's a different kettle of fish. But if you're going to play Prometheus classical fights, you want to get out your heroes. If you're going to be, or your oracles, if you're going to be playing Leto classical fights, you want to be getting out your oracles nice and early so you can enjoy that. As Keto drops 4 military buildings right away. And now Vindicare's job here, he plays this strategy, and he probably plays this strategy in every single game, but the fact of the matter is, it works when it works, and it doesn't work when it doesn't work. But it doesn't go, you don't fall behind inside of the strategy that Vindicare is doing unless you force something incorrectly. So he's got to scout. He basically has to find what his opponent's doing. He's got to find what Keto's going for. At the moment, Keto advanced late, trying to spot the town centers, trying to spot what to do. We see these Naginata riders searching for oracles. And he's still searching, but Keto has managed to evade the scouting here. I like the fact that Vindicare is searching for these. It's very important. They're coming down to the bottom side of the map. We see the villages in the center. There's also a Hyperion pre-queued for Keto, but that's going to be pre-queued. Whether he goes heroic age or not, Keto's not going to just randomly happen upon 800 food, 500 gold, accidentally go heroic age. He's just wanting it for a little bit later, as the Naginata riders are going to be coming in onto this site. They do spot some villages. Keto can garrison, no problems, and the units will need to bail. However, Vindicare now going to be very aware of what Keto's doing. He sees the army, and now he knows, okay, I don't need to go for a very crazy all-in here. I can keep massing units, it's fine. I can probably move out onto this hunt, it's fine at this point. I probably don't have to be on the herdables. Like, you've seen the army, you see what's going on, you go, okay, I'm building an army, you're building an army, we can get hunt, it's fine. Does he have himself his upgrade here? He doesn't have this upgrade, which I think is probably something that you want to grab inside of this strategy. If you grab this this upgrade here, the saltwater something or other, what's it called? Saltwater Spring. 15% extra food gather rate is absolutely insane to pass up on. That's so much extra food. Like if you've got yourself 5 villages on food, it's kind of like you've got an extra villager to some degree almost. Like it's a huge amount of extra eco. So you've got to grab that one. As Vindicare now looking to put some pressure on. I think he's got to be careful here. I don't know if I like this attack from him, but we'll see if it's going to be working. There's Terma here to take out that back line, and he is going to be bailing on this. He's trying to take out the Terma. I don't like the fact that there's random Caraballister in from Keto either, as he hasn't spotted any infantry units coming his way. But nonetheless, the fight will continue along. Keto does have to sort of pull back ever so slightly, as it's just so much spend on worthless units here. The Caraballister are not going to be helping him out in the slightest. However, the Prometheans are an incredible help for his army at the moment. They're going to be the pride and joy, so to speak, of the Keto classical army here. Now, Keto has lost an Oracle in this game. I don't know where he lost it. I don't know when he lost it, but he has lost an Oracle. There is never a bad time, almost never a bad time, inside of this strategy to just add on an extra Oracle. Why? Because you've got an army out. Having an army out means you've got some type of map control. Sure, it's slower. Sure, there's Naginata riders. However, you've got yourself manners. You can time shift them onto the far oracles, and they're going to be safe. If your opponent spots them, you garrison, then you move over and defend with your army. You can run the oracle elsewhere after that, move the mana, and consistently move around the map to defend. It's possible. It's fine. No worries. Now, the Terma numbers are continuing to increase, and we are seeing Vindicare here adding in another unit. He wants the Yeti Spearman. This sort of makes some sense. They take out the Terma to some degree. Of course, so too do the Naginata riders, as we do see a deconstruction there onto the temple. I'm not exactly sure that does a whole lot here for Keto, but he wanted to do just a little bit of damage onto Vindicare. We are seeing Rai Jin as the god of choice here from Vindicare sort of makes sense inside of this strategy and inside of how the map is going to shape up. To some degree, I like the idea of going for brain work Fujin here. The reason I like Fujin is as a counter to chaos, mostly. So you can go, of course you've got the counter to chaos inside of the Thunderdome, but Fujin, the cost is cheaper, you can use it many times, and you can effectively use it on the enemy army to send it into your army, and you can take it out. So there's two ways to go there. And then you've also got Oni, which are insane. But it's fine. We're going to have the Raijin. It's also a decent idea. The only issue, I guess, with the Raijin is the Raiju are not that effective on this map because it's a one-hole oasis. Much difficult to use the speed because it's very easy to just wall up the map. Very, very easy to wall up the map. But we will be seeing now a couple of Raiju getting popped into the mix. There's a lot of favor in the bank, and this is where Vindicare's strategy does start to get very, very strange. I don't know if he's actually going to do it here or not, but what Vindicare does is once he gets into a certain position in the game, he almost stops building villages and instead just builds Miko. Why? If he can just keep his army alive and not lose any units, the Miko are going to be able to re-heal everything, keep them all at full HP, and effectively be resources for him. Not only that, he can then throw them onto shrines, and then he can get an insane amount of favor for multiple god power spammages. So he doesn't even need economy once he gets to an actual army, which is absolutely wild. Now, of course, there are ways to play around it. It's not a like a insane broken OP strategy, but it is very, very strong. As Kito's going to pop over here, get a little bit of damage in with his army sitting on the back for the moment. He's in a little bit of trouble as he is going through Rhea instead of going through his Hyperion, which is surprising me a little bit. Of course, you can use the trader on one of these Raiju. That's going to be nice. The Behemoth, it's going to be a nice frontline unit because it's got like high pierce armor and there's only going to be those Bushi. So that's nice there too. But without Hyperion, now all of a sudden the sort of power imbalance between Thunderburst, like it's called Thunderdome, between Thunderdome and well, Chaos is no longer there. So Vindicare is going to have a field day if he can catch Kito out of position, as he does steal the Raiju, uses the special, pulls out. Nice little play there, as now the upgrades definitely need to come in. Meanwhile, behind all of this, we've got the castle coming in, and Vindicare's plan is to get to the Mythic Age as fast as he possibly can. He doesn't actually want to fight here, but neither does Kito. So it kind of, like, the fact that he's getting damage while doing this is huge for Vindicare. If Kito was to just push forward and take a fight now, well, all of a sudden, Vindicare might be out of position. He might lose it pretty badly, and things might turn on its head. But he's killed off the buildings. He sees the army. He says, I've got enough value here. Now I'm going Watatsumi. I'm going to the Mythic Age. And I'm going to have myself an insane god power. So Kito, in getting away what he kind of wants to get away with, which is not fighting, which is getting his economy sword, which is getting a strong army, he manages to do this. He manages to play around Bushido, but it allows Vindicare the Mythic Age. Over onto this side, the Terma coming through. Nice deconstruction here from Kito as the Terma gonna come through. And he has to drop that upgrade. He obviously doesn't want to lose any villages here, but dropping the Thunderburst is not something that he wanted there. What Vindicare wanted was he wanted to use Watatsumi's god power first and then have all of the rest of the god powers remaining such that he can keep on spamming them out. But the Naginata Riders are going to come through. The Terma are almost dead from the Thunderburst, and as is always the case, we should never raid with a 5-speed unit if our opponent has got 6-speed. Unfortunately, these Naginata riders are not moving at 6 speed because the Yumi horse archers are in the group, but Vindicare really should be getting some value with this, but he doesn't. Kido gets away with it at the moment, pulls behind. Lucky boy he is, but how lucky is he going to be here after the god power comes through as Vindicare pulls back like a spider weaving the trap for his victim. Kido walks straight into it, and the god power drops straight onto the army, taking out that front army, charging across the map. You're going to be taking out this part of the army as well. There's nothing Kido can do to get out of this. He loses everything, and now the Shinigami is going to be coming in, and look at the town center. Do you see something about this town center that looks a little strange? Vindicare says, do I care about villages when I've already got myself enough to keep slowly making units, and all I care about is healing my army up and getting to another god power usage? He doesn't care at all. Miko literally spam, and they build so fast as well. What is the train time on this? As another Raiju does get stolen away, it's 12 seconds. So he's actually getting more economy to some degree than if he was to just be spamming out villages here. Now the manas are going to go down. Of course, there is a limit to how many Miko you can actually make use of. Like you have to have the forests. There's a bunch of forests in the middle. There's some gold mines. There is a limit to this, obviously. But Vindicare will slowly start working up to this. Now Kido, in a little bit, not a little bit, Kido's in a really, really big problem. Now, he has managed to sneak a gold mine up on this top side, so he's got an advantage there. He does have more economy than Vindicare in terms of income, but he has to figure out how he's going to play around everything that's coming for him, which is namely going to be the god power spammage. As Kido says, time to attack. Luckily for him, there's no god powers apart from the Naginata, not the Kusanagi, which will get dropped back. At the moment, I don't think Vindicare really minds. He just wants to drop that down on cooldown here. If we take a look, he doesn't have Den Drubs here either, which could be a really, really big help for him to continue his god power spammaging ways. But Kido says, I gotta take this fight somehow, but he just does not have the army or the numbers, it seems, charging in here. Those bushies seem like they're getting a lot of good damage onto the behemoth, but it does tank for a really, really nice long time. As Kido does manage to push through ever so slightly here. Without having any of those hero units, it's going to be tough. We do see another one of these Shrine of the Hunts coming in, which does, while they're cheap, when he casts it, it does increase the Miko's favor gather rate, so it kind of pays for itself in a way after long enough. As Kido still trying to push through here, but Vindicare, he's got more than enough stuff. He has more than enough stuff, and Kido probably forcing it a little bit too much on this position. Not only losing his army, but also now giving that Bushido over to Vindicare. And I guess on top of this, the Miko numbers have... Can I select the Miko here? The Miko numbers are now up to 15. Of course, he's only got 6 currently grabbing, but he's just adding them into his army non-stop here, and he's going to keep on healing up. Keep on healing up. This is like what Egyptian does. Egyptian puts 5 to 10 priests in their army, and all of a sudden their economy explodes because they don't have to build any actual units. As the trader does get dropped down onto the Shinigami, it does die instantly there. But what can Keto do now, apart from just sit and stare at this army? He needs an army out. Now he's finally going to go into some units he probably should have already been going into, which is the Arcus. Arcus would be an amazing unit to add in like 10 minutes ago, but at this stage, he's playing from behind and it's going to be a bit of a tough one to make work. The reason Arcus are good here is because you can combine the Arcus with a Palace, and all of a sudden now I can garrison and I can dodge the God powers, and we can play with that in mind, right? But everything else, I mean, maybe Terma you can garrison in the Palace. Mermilla you can also garrison the Palace, but you're going to get pushed away from that sort of an area. And at this point, Keto, he doesn't have... This is the only Palace he's got. Of course, he needs it on this gold mine, but it's not helping him in the fight versus the Vindicare army. Vindicare pulling back. And look at this here. Dragon Typhoon at 148 favor. The favor is slowly ticking up. I feel like Vindicare here has overdone it on the Miko in the actual army. Like if it has like 5 Miko here, how many does he? Oh yeah, well maybe only just a little bit overdone it. But if he has 5 Miko in the army and just keeps on going with these shrines all over the place, then all of a sudden his favor will skyrocket to unfair amounts. Does he have the technology? He doesn't have this technology, which you can grab to also boost up all of the shrines and help everything. But he's continuing to charge through here. He's almost got himself the next Thunderburst. Now, luckily for Keto, he does have the garrison into the town center against another usage of the Thunderburst. And it's looking like the Arcus are doing the job here that Keto needs from them. But he needs to be quickly garrisoning in, dodging everything, and using this town center to the best ability he possibly can, which is not happening here. Meanwhile, 5k versus 2k. And Vindicare now gets himself Den drums, which is scary, because what can Keto do? He's also out of gold on this top side. He has snuck over onto this gold mine. Now, luckily for Keto, the economy of Vindicare is not so good, so replacing these units is going to be somewhat tough. But Keto not garrisoning here is hurting my brain. Like, sitting underneath this town center like this and these towers cannot be good for Vindicare. On the I guess on the flip side, he's about to get to tier 4 Bushido, which allows him... Well, no, it doesn't allow him. It gives him 100 favor, right? Or was it 7-5? It gives him 100 favor. And look at Dragon Typhoon. 89 favor cost. He can drop Thunderburst, and then he can drop an incredibly cheap 3rd Age God Power. Couple more shrines to come down. A marker coming up from Keto. And Vindicare is, I mean, the position he's in is just absolutely dominating. Champion Naginata Riders. He's got an army erasing God Power in his grasp. You can use it on it whenever he wants. He's got the Archer deleting God Power in the Thunderburst there as well. A couple of Naginata, a couple of citizens going down over here. These citizens still managing to sneak some gold, but Vindicare is going to be over there. And I think that, simply put, might be the end of Keto here, because he's not going to have any more gold mines. And no gold means no win. But maybe he can take a fight here after he does turn around. He's trying to shank these Naginata Riders, but at Champion, the citizens do not have any chance of survival there. As the Kontari's up to the top here, going to look to try and get this gold mine under their own grasp. I'd love to see Vindicare moving away from the Miko only thing right now as well. Once you get that advantage, drop a town center and start villager production again. There's no reason here to sit on 38 villagers and sit on one talent center. We can get a second talent center now. We can start villager production, and you can put yourself into an obscenely good position. Up onto the top side, charging into the main base. The army over here for the moment. If Vindicare is watching this, he can drop the Dragon Typhoon over here, and then he can literally kill all the villagers and the army with that god power to boot. As the Dragon Typhoon does end up getting dropped here. It's like Locust on steroids. A couple of citizens managed to escape there. Is great reactions from Keto. But now look at the 22 favor cost Thunderburst. And not only that, Dragon Typhoon is going to be usable immediately again after. There are literally 3 Mythic Age God powers you've got to get through against this strategy. Now, after the third one is done, right? After the third one is done, okay, there's probably not any more, right? Not for a while. But 3, you need to get through 3. At this point, Keto's got no army, so there's no usage for the third one. He does tap out. Vindicare does get the win. But an absolutely crazy, bonkers strategy here from Vindicare. Incredibly all in, but very, very different. A completely different way of thinking to take the game this way and make it work. Taking out Keto, who obviously was not expecting this type of Susanoo in the slightest. But another strategy, another you, another me. Something to try for yourselves in your own games. I did face this one the other day, and I was at a loss to how many times I got hit by the Dragon Typhoon. But now that I've watched it and see how it works, you can see there's definitely weaknesses inside of the strategy. There's definitely some things to be very, very aware of and play for. But it's a very, very strong strategy. It looks very, very fun as well. I love the idea of using the Minakata Tomi as well to play around those early game weaknesses and then also still have a lot of strength going in. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy, make sure you hit the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And I will see you guys in the next game.